Few things are as frustrating as picking up your device and realizing you no longer have internet access. We have all been there and feel that frustration. Today I'm going to give you some things to try at home before calling into tech support. Swenson, a training and education consultant for Consortia Consulting, and today I will be providing some solutions to common Wi-Fi problems. Now, before I get into some of those specifics, I want to explain a bit about what Wi-Fi is. If you have a Wi-Fi connection in your home, it's because you have a wireless router connected to broadband. So what does that mean? Well, let's take a look at an example. Think of broadband and Wi-Fi like you might think of a garden hose and a sprinkler head. Your speed of broadband is much like the water pressure of water leaving the hose. Higher bandwidth speeds is like turning up your water spigot to get more pressure. 5 megs of speed is just a trickle of water, where a gig is a fire hose blasting out water. The sprinkler head you have at the end of the hose is much like your wireless router, distributing the signal in a more widespread area. In order to help figure out our common Wi-Fi problems and solutions, I wanted to address some of the frequently asked questions. Let's take a look at our first question. My husband and I are retired and have our internet through our local provider. It works wonderfully for us. However, it seems like any time the grandkids come to visit, the internet gets very slow for everyone. Why is that? And can it be fixed? Let's go back to the analogy of the water hose I mentioned earlier. Let's pretend you have just enough water pressure to do the things you do on a daily basis. Now imagine that your grandkids have showed up for a visit and connected their devices to your Wi-Fi. Each time they connect a device to your Wi-Fi connection, it's much like poking a hole in the garden hose. No one's getting good water pressure or a good signal. If this is a common problem for you, you might want to consider getting a faster speed on your internet. Contact your provider to find out what it will take to get a higher connection. Let's take a look at another question. I have purchased the 25 meg package from my provider, but when I log in from my laptop and do a speed test, it shows I'm getting much less than that. Why am I not getting all the internet I am paying for? Let's start by addressing a minor misunderstanding. When you purchase speed from your provider, it's an up to speed. So in this case, the person with the question can get up to 25 megs. There may be certain times of the day or situations when you aren't getting the full 25, but it should be at least close. If you are frequently showing much less than 25, the problem may be at the equipment in your home. If you have an older router or a router that wasn't made to handle the higher speeds, it may max out at 5 or 10 megs. It's blocking the rest of the bandwidth from being distributed in your home. You may also have a problem with older devices, such as laptops that aren't able to handle the higher speeds. The best way to test to see if it's your router or device is to use a network cord and connect to the internet directly from a newer computer. If you are getting close to your full speed amounts with that, but not with your wireless device, the problem is in your router and it's time for a new one. Okay. Let's take a look at our next question. Our internet signal is very strange in our home. There seems to be certain times the connection drops away completely or gets weak. There also seems to be certain locations in our home that gets better internet than others. Why is that, and can it be fixed? This can be very frustrating. You may need to relocate your wireless router. There are many things that can interfere with the router. You want the router located in a high, central location away from any items that could interfere with the signal. If your router has more than one antenna, you'll want to point these in 2 different directions, one vertical and the other horizontal, for the best coverage. There also could be interference from building materials such as concrete or brick walls. Water can also interfere with the signal, so avoid putting it near a fish tank or water cooler. If you notice it is periodically weak, then strong signals, you may be getting interference from other electronics, such as a microwave, cordless phones, alarm systems, baby monitors, or even the wireless router of a neighbor. You may need to move the router away from the base of any of these devices. Another option would be to change the channel frequency of your router. I admit, this may seem a bit daunting or confusing. However, my trick to do this is Google. If you do a search online for how to change the channel used by my XYZ router, whatever the name of your router is, you will probably find some step-by-step instructions. Make sure you search for your specific brand and model of router. Now, if all of that seems way overwhelming, I completely understand where you're coming from. I often feel the same way when it comes to technology, even though I work with it on a daily basis. If you are feeling like this, I recommend you call your local broadband provider and ask them for a recommendation for a wireless router. If it is one they recommend, they're more likely to be able to help you when you have problems. If you have a router that's older than 5 years, you will probably need a new one, and buying a cheap one off the shelf may not be worth it in the long run. If your provider offers managed routers, I definitely recommend you look at that option. They can set it up for you and manage any problems or issues that arise with it remotely from their offices. It can readily strengthen your signal and reduce your problems. Now, these are just a few of the problems you may encounter when it comes to your home wireless network. Hopefully, you were able to gain some insight on how you might fix some of these common problems. If you're still having issues, please contact your local broadband provider and they'll be happy to contact you. Thank you for watching, and I hope you will tune in again for another episode of Tech Tips by Consortia Consulting.